Hey everyone, Jim T. Graham with RCGroups.com. CA can always be exciting. When you CA your fingers together and you require the aid of someone to help them get them apart, that can be exciting. I've CA'd my hand to a table. That can be exciting. What else have I done? I've done a lot of weird things with CA. And so I'm just saying there can be excitement in what we're talking about here. But today is the most exciting segment I think there will be because Mike from Robart, what's happening, Mike?
Hey, how are y'all doing?
Mike is going to go over the different viscosities of the CA glues that we all know and love, from thin to medium to thick, or just from A to Z.
Yep.
But the exciting part is the kicker. My wife says she likes the smell of kicker. This is maybe the first compliment I've ever received in the glue world. And so today we're going to learn a lot of different things. I think this might be the ultimate CA show, although we won't know till it's over. So, Mike,
Right.
let's do it.
Yeah. You ever glue your hand to a nice ice cold beer too that you've been working on, or
No,
can
no,
of
no.
pop or whatever? That moisture on there. You just grab it and oh. Yeah.
Or how about the frantic reality that you've got CA on your wife's table that you were not supposed to be building on?
Yeah.
And then you're like, I could get this off, maybe somehow.
And my wife always knows when I've been building and doing something because I'll walk in the house and she goes, "You've been playing with kicker today, haven't you?" She knows the smell. Yeah.
The distinct sweet odor of kicker.
Yep. She also knows when I've been back in the shop around all the mills and everything because I'll walk in. She goes, "You smell like cutting oil." Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've been
You
back
should
in the
sell
shop.
that. You should have a cutting oil cologne by Zap.
Oh, yeah, or a perfume, so that the ladies smell like it. And the guys are like, "You work in the shop."
Yeah,
Yeah.
that'd be awesome. And FYI, just saying this right up front, if you hear a little buzzing noise, there is some millwork going on in the background, which is
Mhm.
just adds to the ambience of the Zap how-to video section.
Oh yes. Yep. Yep. Yeah, they're cutting back in the shop and doing their stuff back there. So that's always a good thing. So
So we haven't done this except in the last one, just a touch. You went out this weekend and did a some sort of duck shoot for
we
charity, right?
yeah, we just did the Wisconsin Waterfowl Expo. They had their second year, and I'm one of the mentors where we take kids out and introduce them to that hobby and the outdoors and things like that. So we raised some money for that program, and they had a good show. And there's quite a few hand carvers there, and so people are carving with wood and gluing different things. And so it's a mix of all sorts of stuff in the waterfowl world, and just a different avenue of different glues and different hobbies and things like that. So,
So
and the
what
taxidermists are actually one of our big outputs out also. They use a lot of our glue in the taxidermy world.
I just met a taxidermist Saturday. I went to an antique store and they were loading up an eland antelope head, and we
Oh,
used to
wow.
raise eland antelope. And I asked her if she knew what it was, and she said, "Well, I'm a taxidermist, so I know what it is." And
I've
then
never heard of that type of antelope. So,
the one of the biggest antelope that I've ever seen. We raised a lot of exotics, and the problem with exotics is wild animals would like to kill them, but elands were so big, and I'm talking bigger than cattle. They have like unicorn horns, except they have two of them. They spiral up.
okay.
And we had huge fences with extenders on the top, and I was always amazed to watch an eland. If a dog got in the pasture, they could just gently lope and vertically jump over our fences and wait for the dogs to leave and jump back in.
Oh, wow.
And
Yeah,
they
I'll
were
have
not
to look them
aggressive.
up. I'll have to
Yeah.
look them up. So,
And
yeah.
the so my other question, I guess people are carving ducks,
Yeah, so
duck
like,
decoys.
yeah, the old antique look duck decoys where they're carving them with either foam or hardwood or cork or a lot of different things. It's really big on the East Coast, around the Chesapeake Bay
All right.
and whatnot. That's very popular out there. So it's
We were
moving it's
yeah,
moving its way westward.
we were going to somebody's house and they had a pond, and I immediately knew those were decoys in that pond. But my whole family were like, "Ducks! Look at the ducks!" No,
Yeah,
those aren't real.
yeah. So But yeah, so today, what I figured we'd do, let's start off with doing kind of an overview of those 4 CAs that we talked about already. We've already introduced them. This way, we'll do a side to side comparison and put a little drip on this piece of cardboard. And the nice thing about the cardboard for me, I mean, I get it. We're not gluing cardboard together typically, right? But what the cardboard does is it's going to change colors. It's going to get really dark, so everybody will see how fast the viscosity runs on each one of these. Okay, so I've already set them up, and I put our flexi tip on each one of these, and we'll go over tips in one of the next few videos here. But what I'll do, so this is that CA. So this is our thinnest. This is the pink one. So I'll just put a drip or two, 1, 2, and you can see that it starts to run down nice and fast. Okay, and then we've got our medium, our Zap-A-Gap in the green. So 1, 2, and it starts to hang there. That you can start to see that drip stays there a little bit longer. It doesn't get absorbed right away. We'll also do that with the thick or our slow zap, which is the thickest of the liquids. So again, that you see how that is really staying up there. Let's see if I kind of show.
Yeah, that one really stuck.
Yep. And then the gel. And so that's our vertical. You can work on the verticals like we really talked about last week quite a bit. So, with each one of these, here I'll grab a piece of wood over here. So you can see here on the thin, it's already fully absorbed into the cardboard. The medium is still wet. You can still see partially the drip there. The slow zap is still hanging, sitting up top, and that gel hasn't moved a bit. So that's kind of a side-by-side comparison of each one of these glues for you. Okay?
Got it.
All right. So let me move these out of the way. Take this down. And bring in today's topic. Zip kicker. All right, so zip kicker. We offer basically 2 types of zip kicker. All right. Actually, it's 1 type of zip kicker, and then we have the foam safe kicker also. Since we're talking about kickers, I figured I'd bring this in, and we'll talk more about the foam safe kicker when we talk about our foam safe products that Zap offers. Okay. Look good. You can see them all, Jim?
Looks good.
All right. So the foam safe kicker, this is foam safe, not going to melt or attack the foams. For those of you that are sensitive to some of the odors that some of the kickers have or put out, that's where the foam safe kicker is going to come in. All right. So we'll talk more about this in a future video. So I'm going to move that one off to the side. Teasers. All right. So zip kicker. So we offer this in 4 different sizes. We've got our 2-ounce pump. So this will come with a finger pump spritzer or atomizer or however you want to call it. We offer a 2-ounce aerosol.
And let me say on that aerosol, I've had a can of aerosol for years. It still is doing its job. It's amazing.
Yeah. And that is the nice thing about the aerosol, since it's fully contained. You're not going to get really much of the evaporation. You don't accidentally knock it over and lose some.
Right.
We also offer an 8-ounce refill bottle. So those of you who really like to use a lot of kicker, this is a great one for you. And then the 5-ounce aerosol. So depending on how you like to move the product in and out, this is what's available for you. The intention of the 8-ounce aerosol is for refilling your smaller bottles, refilling a different spritz bottle, things of that nature. Okay.
Got it. right.
So let's move these two out of the way. All right. So what makes the zip kicker different than most? Ours is a heptane base. So there's a chemical that's in the zip kickers that is going to accelerate the glues, right? Ours is based off of a heptane, and the nice thing about that is it doesn't attack a lot of finishes. So it's going to accelerate the cure time of your CA glues to instant. It's right now. And then here's the second big point. It will not craze most plastics, and that crazing is changing the colors of or things of that nature. All right,
Which doesn't matter until it really matters.
correct. That's where we talk about the repair side of stuff, right? Uh, when you're out in the field or you're doing something and something breaks and it's already finished and you want to spritz it, you can spritz it with this and then wipe it off, and you're not going to have really any discolorations with your paint or your finishes and things of that nature.
Right.
Okay. And then the last one on here, it solves most tough to bond combinations of materials. So when we start talking about plastics or metals or those really non-porous things, that's another place where Kicker shines, because it's forcing that bond quickly, and it's making sure that glue gets in there and grabs and does its thing. What do you think?
It's the great part there for me is like when I know that I only have one hand to hold something and do another thing, and so that's when I go for the kicker to allow me to do something I normally wouldn't be able to do like that.
Right. And in that case, what I do a lot of times, let me find this. So what I will do is I'm going to bring in. I'll use the slow zap. You know what? I'll use the Zappa Gap.
The 4-wheel drive of CA.
The 4-wheel drive. I like that. We'll have to use that in a Flying Giants and RC Groups banner, like the 4-wheel drive. Okay. So
I'll make it.
So what we'll do is I'll go ahead and put a line of glue down here. And you have two ways to use your accelerators. Okay. I can either, so I don't accidentally get some overspray on my glue, I'm going to get this out of the way. I can either go ahead and spray the other substrate or the other surface. Okay. In these tight quarters, I'm going to do a lot of extra spray that I shouldn't, because you only need a tiny bit. And then you put it together. Well, that bond is done. I mean, it's right now. Okay.
There's no fiddling around with that.
No, you get zero working time when you start working with accelerators. Okay. So let me grab some other ones. Actually, I'm going to move a pile of my wood over here, my little blocks. So the other way to do that is you can put your glue on. And you can put your two pieces together. Okay. And then you could spritz the outside of it. Right. And then allow that glue to cure inside there, and it's done. Oh, that one didn't work well. It didn't. I did not have a good connection there, it looks like, because I'm touching that glue and it's cured. All right, so let's try that again. All right. So I'll put the Zappa Gap here. I see why. I don't have any glue on the outside for it to cure. So I'll put a line here.
You don't want to zap your glue tip.
Yeah, right. So now you can see that there's some whitening here. The glue will whiten a little bit, okay? But there you go. It's all cured now.
Awesome. And then we have the inside curing slower.
Yep. Well, now that all the glue is together, that's all cured also. I can't
Oh,
even get to it right now.
wow.
So yeah, it's all glued up.
So how does Kicker work? What is it doing?
You know, that probably a question I should have asked my chemists before we leave. But it's forcing. All it's doing is it's forcing the cure on the glue. Actually, I get my hands out of the way here. Sorry about that. So it's forcing the cure. So there is a chemical reaction I can't go into because I'll be honest, I'm not a chemist. I should have asked them exactly, what's the cause, what's doing all that, right? But it is. It's just forcing the cure so that you can move faster with your models. All right. Now, the other thing we were talking about is you were saying like using Kicker because you only have one hand, right?
Right.
So now there's two ways to do that. Is what I will sometimes do is I will take my glue and I'll have my glue on one surface, and I'm going to go ahead and put a line of glue across here. All right. Now, remember we talked about with glues, you're going to let it soak in to grab, right?
Right.
But I don't have a lot of time for that. So what I will sometimes do is I will just use the bottle, the tube coming out of the bottle, and I'll just put a drip, and a drip. Or you could do this with a little acid brush, right? Now, when I put this together, what has happened is I'm accelerating here, and I'm accelerating here. In the middle, it's taking a little bit longer, so I'm getting a stronger bond here. Because what occurs when we use Kicker is you force that bond faster. So instead of it going way in and grabbing, you're going to be grabbing like here. Okay.
Okay.
So now in spot 1, 2, and 3, I've got a bond to here. Spots, A and B here, I'm able to reach in and grab a little bit further. And especially on a longer piece, and you want to use your Kicker as a fixturing point, so like a clamp or something like that. So that's where the Kicker can come in handy also. Tighten that back up before I knock it over, because we've all done that.
I know you're going to get to it, but I'm really curious how Kicker works with thicker CAs.
Thicker CAs. All right, so let's go ahead and let's bring back a piece of cardboard here. And let's bring in the gel, because that's really the thickest. Maybe not with the cardboard. Let me do it with this. Just a piece of balsa. All right, now with the gels, what'll happen sometimes, put a big old gob on there. When that gets accelerated, it adjusts the outside. That will cure up. Okay, so in the gel situation, your outside is going to be cured, but now the inside is still working. So
that's cool.
Isn't that pretty neat? Yeah. And then when we start looking at larger gaps, so actually that's a good one. Let me break that a little bit. So when we start looking at larger gaps, let me get my angles right. Maybe that's not the right way to do it. We talk about Zappa gap being a gap filler, okay? So you don't have a perfect cut. You've got something going on in there. Get a piece of wood in there to create a gap a little bit easier for me here. All right. So what you can do is put your glue line in, and then you can spritz it. And now you can actually layer the glue into the gap And now we're starting to fill even larger gaps.
Oh, okay.
Okay. And we can do that now. We're starting to get even bigger up here. We can start to fill these gaps with the different CAs and use your accelerator. Okay. And now I'm starting to make a bond. I'm growing that bond even through this gap, even as we get, we're starting to see a pretty big gap up here. And that's all getting filled in because of the use of the kicker with the thicker CAs.
Okay. So you build.
Mm-hmm.
You're building your glue joint.
Yep.
Do you have to worry about that tip getting kicked that way, or is the kick pretty immediate?
No, you're going to start, especially if you have too much accelerator on there, and say you've got a drip of accelerator coming down, then it can glue. You can get your tip can get clogged up. So right now I'm filling a gap all the way up there. I don't have but you're almost looking at a 1/16 of an inch or more. That's all glued up together, actually.
Nice.
Let's see if I can get a good.
There it is.
Yeah, you can get a good look on that there. So that's the other positive. That's a really neat trick and something to use with the accelerators also. Okay. Now, what you probably saw is a lot of my demos today, I'm using the accelerator. All right. Or not the accelerator, the aerosol. And here, this is basically why I like the accelerator or the aerosol is I could just hit, you can really control the spritz on it. You can go a lot, or a tiniest little bit.
And I find a little goes a long way with kicker.
Very much so. Very
Just
much
a breath.
So. Is then when we look at the spritz bottle, and the spritz bottle really atomizes it nice.
Yeah, really.
Okay.
Nice soft pattern.
Yep. So you really, as you said, a little goes a long way, right? So I don't need to do, over and over and over and over and over and over until it's soaking wet. You can just hit it. So it's really comes up to modeler's choice, right? Which one do you want? Do you like the aerosol? Do you like the pump? Either one.
Very nice. I had no idea that the pump did a spray like that. So that's awesome.
Yeah. What other questions can I answer for you today, Jim?
I don't know. Is kicker flammable?
It is. It is flammable. So, it's the flammable vapor. Always make sure that you're using this in a well ventilated area. All right. The kickers are to be shipped FedEx ground. They are an ORMD product. So don't ask me what ORMD stands for. I'm not a freight person. Right. I'm back there shipping at times, but that's what we got to ship those via ground service. Okay, they cannot go on an airplane. So if you try to put these in your luggage as you're flying, they will probably take them out. Okay.
Good to know.
Yeah. Always use this in a well ventilated area.
And I know everyone does it, but I keep all my glues in one big bucket because the last thing I need is to find my glue and not my kicker, have my kicker, not the glue, or not the glue I need, but the other glue.
Yep.
So I keep them all in one place in one bucket all the time.
Oh, yeah. All right. Other than that, I think we've hit basically most of the high points here for the accelerators. And hopefully I've answered all your questions also.
Yep. Well, I do love kicker. I have to admit, it's a strange thing to love, I know, but it really makes your whole CA. A lot of times I won't use it because I feel like I'm cheating, but sometimes you have to use kicker And
Yes.
that's when you need to have it.
Yeah, it is a great product. I use it very frequently. Should also point out that when you're working with the thin CA, you really don't need kicker. About
Okay.
the only time that you would need kicker on a thin CA is if you put too much. I don't know if you remember back in our first video when we were talking about the thin CAs, and maybe I should just pop down here over to my other camera real quick and just reiterate that. Move this out of the way. All right. Get 2 pieces of balsa here. Okay, so here we talked about if you put too much glue on,
Right.
it's not gonna oh gosh, I'm not even showing this right now. I glued the stick to the desk, of course.
Nice.
Doing this demo is actually easier on the overhead. But if you put too much glue on, it doesn't grab.
It slides, right?
Right. So in that situation, see if I can do this without, yeah, see, it's already starting to cure. Then in that situation, then you would go ahead and give it a spritz with kicker, and then that would help. And it's hard to do that demo on a forward shot like this. When I do the overheads, then it's a lot easier to do that demo because I don't have the sticks falling apart. Try one more time, maybe with a sheet of balsa here. Get this out of the way. One of these days, what I should do is I should do a view of what the desk looks like when we're not, we're not doing the demos, right? So I just put a big gob of CA. You can actually see the wad there, right? But it's not sticking. It's not sticking. It's not sticking. So and I'm doing way too much, of course, just for the demo purpose. And then I'll go ahead and spritz that. And there you go.
You can see it right there.
Yep. Now it's stuck.
You can see the chemical reaction. That's cool. And it goes white.
Yep. So in the situation, you've put too much of any one of the CAs down, especially the thin, then you can use the accelerator to force that bond, and it will do what it needs to do.
Awesome.
Right? So that's probably, I guess, talking with a lot of people over the years of doing this, one of the biggest complaints that you hear is like just your general over-the-counter CA glue. It doesn't work. It doesn't work. It doesn't work. And so I'll ask them, how much glue did you put down? And they're like, I just put glue all over the thing, and I put them together, and it didn't stick. I'm like,
right.
You put too much on. Here's a bottle of kicker. Spray it. Now try it, and it works. So.
Is that the zapblue.com, correct me if I'm wrong on that name, zapblue.com is live?
Yep, it's back up and running now. For some of you who may have been on there looking for it, it is there. We got that back up and running. And so just to reiterate, the United States master distributors, right? The 3 houses, and we've talked about those through the videos, are on the East Coast. You have Frank Tiano Enterprises with Carol running that. Robart is the central United States, so that's with myself and Dan. And then the West Coast is House of Balsa with them over there. So with Paul over there. Sorry about that. I blanked on his name for a second there. So with Paul, and any of us will be able to help you. If you got any questions and you're in any one of those territories, even if you're not in one of those territories and you have a question, we're all here to help each other, right? So that's what we're here for.
All right. And I know they're busy taking care of things and getting things going, so you can order them and buy them and use them. And I will have a link to that site at the bottom of this video, and I'm going to add it to the other videos so you can go there.
Yep.
And there we go.
And the glue is available through all sorts of distribution networks, at your hobby shops, any of that. And and that's especially with the kickers because of the cost of shipping on those. It's something that you really want to, go to your local hobby shop and pick up your accelerator there, and because then you'll be able to save a few extra dollars on freight because it does have to be shipped ground. So it's go support your local hobby shop. And I know there's some people are saying, well, we don't have a lot around. Well, this is a good reason for you to go out and go to that hobby shop, help them out, and pick up your accelerator, your kickers there, your zip kickers.
Awesome. Everyone, we've been talking to Mike from Robart. We've been talking about ZAP CA, and today we went over viscosity levels of different CAs, as well as kicker, the most exciting of all products because it creates a chemical reaction.
Yes, yes. So what do you think next week? I think what we should probably talk about next week would be, um, let's talk about the foam safe
It's got to
CA
be
kit.
foam safe.
Yeah, let's talk foam safe because we talked about the foam safe kicker a little bit. So next week, let's pull the foam safe, which is our Zappo, off the shelf with the foam safe kicker, and show everybody what that's all about.
And it just plays such a huge role with a lot of planes on RC groups. And so it's
Yeah,
important to know all the things to know about that. So stay
yeah,
tuned.
definitely. All right. Have yourself a great weekend, Jim, and we greatly appreciate you having us out here.
All right. Thank you. And thank everyone who clicks and likes and does all the buttons. Bye.
You got it.